Hi, it's Tash from Foxes and Brown Bears Tarot, and I'm finally making a video. It's taken a long time. I apologize to all my subscribers for a very long hiatus. However, my mental health wasn't great and I just wasn't motivated. And I didn't see the point of making a video that really didn't reflect my best self. And so I'm back, and hopefully I will stay back. All right, so what I thought I'd start the year with was my top tarot decks of 2021. And the way I'm doing this is I'm not looking necessarily at decks that were published in 2021, but decks that came into my collection in 2021. So I thought this was probably the best way to do it because I didn't actually buy a lot of decks, and particularly ones that were published last year. And so I'm going to be looking at this video, I'm going to be looking at my top 5 tarot decks and then an honorable mention. And I will then make a subsequent video where I'll look at my top 5 oracle decks of the year. All right, so I'm going to start at the honorable mention, and this is this one here, and gorgeous bag I made for it. And the reason this is, well, let's have a look. It's a Dark Goddess Tarot by Ellen Lorenzi Prince, and this one was published in 2020, but I only purchased it last year. And the reason it is an honorable mention and not in my top 5 is not because it's an awesome deck that I use all the time, but because I don't really use it as a tarot. I use this mostly like an oracle for one card pulls, daily pulls, weekly pulls, whatever I feel drawn to use it, and I use it all the time. So this is great little tarot. I really enjoy this one. So this is the mass market version, and as you can see, the book's fabulous. I absolutely love the colored pictures in it, but what I love most about this is that it actually does give you information on that particular goddess. It gives you a story about her, and that story kind of links into some of her strengths, characteristics, and whatnot. It can often look at some of the more negative things that has happened to that particular goddess, and then it gives you this great little oracle, I guess, meaning where you're really looking at really good advice. And God, this advice is just always so good. It's always been on point. And yeah, this is probably one of my favorite decks of all time, really. I love it, absolutely adore it. And just as an aside, like I know a lot of people get put off because of the idea of being dark goddesses. This doesn't mean that the goddesses are dark in nature. It's looking at sort of the darker aspects of life and how those goddesses can show you how to kind of live through them, survive them, and just looking at the example of how they've dealt with challenges in their lives. So that's really cool. Now I keep these in a little bag only because once you unpackage them, they're quite loose, and it had an awful insert on the inside where the cards would slip underneath, so I removed that and I just keep them separately. Now, a lot of people don't like this mass market version because it is gilded and it is a glossy. I quite like it, but then again, I never had the indie version. So the backs, I actually quite like the backs. I don't think they match necessarily the aesthetic of the cards or even the theme of the cards, but they're pretty enough. So gold gilding, and a lot of people don't like these banners and that, but I actually like them. I love the borders. I think they work really well. And as you can see, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. I love this artwork. And they're just so beautiful, so beautiful. They do go with the elements for the suits, and they have changed the pages, knights, queens, and kings, so you can see, to like sirens and whatnot. But I love the colors. I love the diverse choice of goddesses from all around the world, and just from, you know, present, past, like everything. Like they were just, it's gorgeous. The stories are beautiful. And as I said, this is one of my favorite decks. It's one of my comfort decks. It's the one I can go to even when I'm feeling pretty awful. And it always kind of seems to give me courage and motivation and inspiration. And yeah, I just find it to be an incredible deck to have in my collection. And I'm so glad I bought this. It's just amazing. If you're looking for a goddess deck, this is definitely the one I'd recommend. And I actually, as I said, I use it as an oracle goddess deck. I don't really look at the tarot correspondences there. I suppose I could, but it's not the way I use it. I like looking at the concept of the goddess, and I can actually delve a little bit deeper and explore some more stories of that goddess and see how that can relate to my life and the challenges that I'm currently facing. So this is the honourable mention, and I've included that because it is called a tarot, even though I don't use it as a tarot. Okay, so now I guess we'll go into the actual 5 decks that are going to be my decks for 2021. And the first one is actually quite new in my collection, and that's this one here. It's the Rune Tarot. So quite recent. I think it only came out in November. However, it has blown me away and I love it so much. So this is by Jack Sephiroth, Alan Dempster, Jamie Alford. It's a Lo Scarabeo. And yeah, wow, it's just so beautiful. It's got the nice magnetic box once again. It's got your runes on the inside. And the book is really cool. It doesn't have pictures for the minors, but it does have full page pictures for the majors, as you can see. And yeah, so it's very, very cool. And what I like about it is it does give you that image description. It gives you a meaning, and the meaning within that, really, it also looks at who that particular character from Norse mythology actually is, and gives you some keywords, and it gives you also the runic meaning. And that's what's really cool about this deck, is it does incorporate runes in each card, which is super cool for me. I don't use runes a lot, but I think it just gives you that extra element. Now, I have to say that it is very body beautiful, but that's not surprising because it is dealing with a pantheon of gods. They are supposedly these perfect beings. And so I think I can understand why that would be the case. Now, it also does rename the minor arcana, as you can see. So you got the suit of horns is cups, and then you've got the, if I come back to it, suit of shields is pentacles. The wands is just wands, so they've kept wands. And then the swords, they've kept as swords. So it's really just the shields and the horns that they have renamed. It's got some really cool spreads at the back. And they've also kept the Page, Knight, Queen, King as the same. And yeah, it's gorgeous. I really, really like it. It's an awesome little thing. They give you a nice list of the different cards with the particular god and the accompanying rune, which is kind of cool. And it actually does go into a little bit on the runes as well. So that's kind of cool. Now, that they just now I've put these back in order because I'm actually studying this at the moment. This is the deck I'm going to be working with at the beginning of this year. Even though it feels a bit wintry, I didn't get to work with it enough, and I really want to delve deep, and I want to really understand the runic correspondences. So no gilding, kind of nice. The backs are gorgeous. I love the backs so much. It is glossy. It is very glossy. So if you don't like gloss, you wouldn't like it. In a way, it's very similar to Llewellyn cardstock, although it's much thicker. So it's really nice, very slippy, very good. So what I love about this is the artwork. The artwork is absolutely divine. I mean, wow, like the color palette is absolutely gorgeous. The depictions are beautiful. I love the landscapes. I love the kind of weather elements, the animals incorporated in this. It is truly beautiful. I love the correspondences that they actually chose for the different goddesses and gods, and this strength card is everything. This is the card I saw when this was first advertised, and I immediately knew I was going to buy it. I mean, I probably would have anyway because I'm a bit of a sucker for Norse mythology, but this strength card is the most beautiful strength card ever, and the strength card to me is one of the most important cards in the deck. I really resonate with it. So this is just amazing to me. Amazing Hermit too. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's just so well done, so well executed. And if I go on to the minors are also very well done. They are fully illustrated and very similar to RWS. I mean, this really follows the RWS system in a lot of ways, but just with that really great Scandinavian feel. And wow, I mean, look at that. Like, that's hell, I believe. But yeah, very, very beautiful, superbly well done. The courts are gorgeous. Yeah, very atmospheric, and really, really like it. So as you can see, very beautiful deck. And yeah, just one that I'm really looking forward to getting to know even better, because it's been a gorgeous addition to my collection. And so the only reason, there's the only reason this is currently like probably number 5 in the 5th place is only because I haven't worked with it enough. And I'm not as familiar with it as I am with the other decks that I purchased in 2021 that have made it into my top 5. So number 4 is this one here, and this is the Tarot of the Abyss. This is by Anna Turian, published by US Games, and this is one of the ones that was actually published in 2021. So that's kind of cool. And look, this blew me away. It's the most beautiful deck, really. So cute little booklets. The meanings in this are amazing. She describes the choices of artwork quite well. So you really get to see what's being explored in each card. So very, like, absolutely amazing, really. You've also got some spreads, not a lot, but there is a really cool abyss spread. Yep. But oh my gosh, this isn't gilded, standard US Games cardstock. I love US Games cardstock, it's my favorite. The backs are absolutely gorgeous. And even though it's got the copyright, it's not very obvious. So I actually think they've incorporated that into the artwork very nicely. I love this kind of monochromatic. I don't have a lot of monochromatic decks, but I love that it's more like a sepia black rather than white, pure white. It just gives it such a feel. And I mean, look, this would have made it into my top 5 purely on the artwork. It is absolutely gorgeous. But also just the meaning in each card is incredibly conveyed. It includes a perspective that's unique in places, and it's just blew me away. I love it so much. It's, you know, it's not just redoing the RWS. It's really taking the meanings of the RWS, but also incorporating its own, I don't know, its own depth, its own symbology. And for me, it's amazing. Like, this death card is so incredible. It's just one of the most beautiful decks. Like, this hanged one, look at that for a change of perspective, because if you turn the card around, it's just a normal landscape. So it's like wow, right? Justice with these scales in the eye. This Wheel of Fortune is incredible. Yeah, so strength is beautiful, and yeah, it's lovely chariots. So yes, I'm really enjoying this deck a lot. All the minors are illustrated and in a very, very beautiful way. Here's one example that she does have an extra few cards. So you have a choice between 2, 3 of swords, for example. And what this does is it gives you different potential meanings of the card. So you can either choose, which one you're going to include in the deck. I include both because I think they'll give you this extra layer. So I think it just gives you more cards to really draw on, which I'm okay with, really. But yes, it is truly beautiful, and I would highly recommend this deck, really. So once again, I have put this one in order because I plan to work with it again this year. A bit of a deep dive, just like with the Rune Tarot, just because I have used this a bit, but I feel like I really need to delve into it in even more detail. So yes, absolutely. Look at the quartz, aren't they beautiful? Like, look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous quartz. Yeah, so this is definitely easily a top 5, and it is my number 4. And it's only number 4 really because it's been beat out by 3 other decks. All right, number 3, probably no surprise to anyone. This is the Tararenard. Yeah, and I don't even have to say anything about it. This is foxes, right? Foxes. That's all I have to say, and you'll know why it's in my top 5. But this is Basilia Malsville, and just this gorgeous, gorgeous deck. I got it, backed it on Kickstarter, and my best friend actually gave me money towards it as part of my birthday presents at the end of 2020. But it only came into my collection in 2021. And so that's why I'm going to include it. It's the cutest little box. Everything's in French and English. And wow, like this is so well done. So well done. So you can see the French side, and then you have the English side. The book's not very detailed, but it's cool. Like it gives you a little meaning, it gives you some keywords, it gives you also some reversals. The minors are a little bit briefer, but really just RWS. So I think if you've got any other book, really, it will work. Look at that. It's got foxes in the box. Oh, love it. Now, it's not gilded, but look at the backs. Like, it's got all this, like, oh my God, look at that. I love the backs so much. They are reversible, but I don't read reversals. And yeah, what I love about this is just the artwork is so beautiful. And it's a whole deck full of foxes. What isn't there to love, right? Also, the majors, in fact, none of the cards actually have any writing on them. And I think that was partly because it is designed to be used in French and English. And so I think the easiest way to go with it is she's chosen the number to represent majors. So in this case, you're looking at Temperance. And look at that for the devil. Oh, and yeah, so absolutely gorgeous. It's the most gorgeous artwork ever. And you can see here, for example, with pentacles, so you've got a little representation of a pentacle with a number 1. So that's kind of cool. You've got, yeah, and then you've got, I should just see, I thought I'd put some of these in order, but I haven't. I've shuffled them up a bit. So, but yeah, all illustrated, very RWS, as you can see. So you can see cups here. It's a representation of a cup, and with 2. And I mean, you can also just count the cups, whatever. So it's not particularly difficult. Look at the bunny. Yeah, this is just so beautiful. Her artwork is so gorgeous. And oh, look at that. And the courts, you can see there's a page. It's kind of cool. And then you've got the knights. And it's Casey because it's cavalier in French. And then you have queen, so Q for queen, R for Ren, which is queen in French, and then king and roi, which is king. So it's very well done, I think. I love these snowy ones. They're very beautiful. Yeah, they're all it's just so soft. In some ways, it's quite, it's got the same kind of vibe as the Oak, Ash and Thorn. But, I mean, I just think this is a bit softer. And it's just so cute. It's such a hug deck. It's just so beautiful. I really, really love it. It's gorgeous. I mean, look at that. So, yes, and it does have an extra card as well, which I love. Look how beautiful that card is. And it also includes a little few extra cards where it gives you some keywords for the major arcana, and in French and English. And then it's got keywords for each of the minors in English and in French. So that's the Tararenard. That is my number 3 deck. And in some ways, I mean, yeah, it could have been my number 1, except that some of the others I use more frequently than this one. Number 2 is a deck that was on my wish list forever, and it finally entered my collection in 2021 due to the release of additional decks by the creator. And this would be no surprise to anyone. It features all the time. This is the Majestic Earth Tarot by J.D. Hildegard Hinkle. And I had the opportunity to get this special edition. And because it was on my wish list forever, I decided to splurge on this because I would have regretted not getting it. Because, yeah, beautiful, beautiful box. Gorgeous box. And so if we have a look, the booklet is pretty basic, but it does actually explain what's being seen in the card, which is really, really cool. And what I love about it is it actually tells you what artwork it comes from too, and has some really cool keywords. But I love that it tells you what's in the card, and that it's actually tells you where it comes from. I think that makes a massive difference. Now it does rename the particular minors. So you've got it's water and trees and clouds and stone. And you've got a few of the majors are renamed as well. So like the Council of Law, you know, Whisper of Fortune, and so on. And the Hierophant's Domain, for example. So, but it's very, very cool. I like it. Now, the special edition had these extra little element cards, which I thought are really cool. I guess it'd be really cool. I've used them for like element readings to kind of see different aspects of what's going on. And it's where you lay cards on top of them. It's really cool. Yeah, and they're just really beautiful. And there you can see just all the, yeah, I got 635 to 780. And yeah, very, very cool. And it is gilded. It's holding up quite well considering how often I use it. The backs are beautiful, and it's this beautiful matte. Like, listen to this. Oh, I love that sound. And yeah, so I thought this was beautiful because I'm a sucker for art decks, and that's why it was on my wish list. But I wasn't necessarily expecting that it would be the best reader in the world. But oh my gosh, it is the first deck really where I've completely read intuitively. Sometimes I don't even look at what card it is. And sometimes like a particular keyword will jump out at me, but a lot of the time I'll get the message purely from the image. And that to me just says that the images are so well chosen, which isn't always the case with decks that are based on pre-existing art. But this deck speaks to me so much, and it just, yeah, it's just so gorgeous. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's my all-time favorite art deck. And as I said, it's hit my number 2 for 2021. And yeah, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to purchase this one because it is truly beautiful. It is largely landscapes, although occasionally you'll have an interior or you'll have some people featuring. So here you've got some people in a lifeboat, but a lot of them are just, you know, they still very much natural scenes, and very much show the interaction of nature with people in a sense. And it is really about the grandeur of nature and the way that nature shapes our existence in some way. That's how I see it. This is beautiful. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's got some darker cards, some really calming, beautiful cards. Some of them depict, you know, landscape shaped by humans, whereas others are more wild landscapes. And yeah, the choices and the mix are just absolutely gorgeous. So yes, that is why that is my number 2. And okay, so my number 1 is a deck that was published years ago. Like it's not recent at all, but I finally purchased it last year, and oh my gosh, I love it so much. So this is the bag I made for it, which might give you a hint as to what's in it. Yeah, this is probably a bit of a surprise considering how beautiful some of the other decks are, but this is the Science Tarot, and oh my gosh. And you can get this at just sciencetarot.com. Look, it's a very basic box. The booklet is really good. It does describe the artwork in each card, the meaning in each card. It links each card to a particular scientific concept. And then the quartz are particular scientists from history. So it's pretty cool. It's very, very well done. Like it links each of the minors and the major arcana to the hero's journey. It's very cleverly done. And yeah, it's very smart. I really like that there was that much thought that went into it. Yeah, and it's just so beautiful. Now, I have done a walkthrough of this in quite a lot of detail, where I've gone through the science of each card, and I've gone through how the book works, how the hero's journey works. And so, yeah, check that out if you want more information on all that. It's not gilded, standard size. Love the backs, love the backs. It is glossy. The cardstock's not bad. Like, it's not the best cardstock ever. It's that very laminated glossy, but I just love it so much. And you can see the title cards, and you can see the creators there. And as you can see, it was copyrighted in 2010. So it's been around for a very long time. And yet I've finally purchased it. Yeah, I had to get it shipped from America, and the shipping costs as much as the deck. So I held off for a very, very long time. But I'm so glad I got it, because in the end, I'm a science geek. I am. I'm a total science nerdy person. And I love science. I read heaps of science. I've studied science. And just seeing all these concepts in a card just speak to me like no other deck I bought. It's almost like I didn't even have to get to know this deck, because the second I saw the associated scientific concepts, I just got a sense of the card in a way that I've never got from a deck, where I just immediately had this depth of understanding, these extra layers of meaning, and it's just, I love it so much. And it's not like the artwork is mind-blowing, but I really like it. I think it's really cute. It's really colorful. I actually really like the borders on this. I love that they color-coded to the different suits. And look at that. It's just so clever, you know, like representing ribosomes and like DNA and the magician card. It's like, wow, right? Because that's the material of manifestation, and it's also cleverly chosen, so cleverly chosen. And yeah, like strength for nuclear forces, wow, right? And so this to me is just one of the most amazing decks I've ever owned. I love it dearly. It is so close to my heart. It's probably up there as one of my top decks ever. And And I don't necessarily believe in a soul deck, but I believe in decks that speak to you in a unique way due to their themes and what they represent and how that corresponds to your particular interests and life history. And I think because this really speaks to my very strong interest in science, this speaks to me very directly. And in that sense, I guess it's a soul deck because it's kind of a representation of who I am as a person. And I can understand this deck without much study, without much, work. It was just an automatic connection. And so, yeah, I just love it. I don't think it's a deck for everyone. If you don't love science, if you don't know a lot about science, it'll be quite hard work because it's not RWS at all. And it wouldn't be particularly easy to read if you didn't know the scientific concepts, particularly the wands suit, because it's really based on astronomical elements, so different phases of stars and whatnot. So you really need to understand that. But you know what? Wow, it is gorgeous. And I'm so glad I have it. So yeah, I'm just going to gush and gush and gush. But as I said, if you want to understand more about this deck, check out my walkthrough. So thank you for sticking with me in what has now turned out to be a very, very long video. But considering you haven't heard from me for a while, I suppose, now it's just overkill. It's at two extremes, right? Now you hear way too much from me. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you soon for my top 5 Oracle decks of 2021. Take care.